What's up everyone, welcome to Drummer's Perspective. My name is Ben Todd and I'm here to help broaden your scope of what's possible as a drummer. Thanks so much for tuning in today, whether you're watching here on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast. I really appreciate you wherever you're coming in from. If you are here on YouTube though, please subscribe to the channel. That really does help me out and it lets you know next time I got a video coming out. Now today I had the great privilege of chatting with the amazing drummer Brendan Tan. Now if you don't know Brendan, he's played with such an amazing variety of artists on the Australian touring scene. Most notably, he's been touring recently with Tones and I all over the place. But what I really wanted to speak with Brendan about today was his most recent gig, which was being a part of the house band for the ABC TV New Year's Eve broadcast. Now, if you're one of the millions of people that tuned in to watch that performance, I think you'll agree that Brendan absolutely smashed that gig out of the park. There was just so much versatility in that night, so many different artists, over 30 songs to learn. They're working with clicks and tracks and electronics, and Brendan absolutely smashed it out of the park. I was really inspired to see him play that gig. Now, in this chat, I speak with Brendan about exactly how that gig came up for him, what his personal preparation was like for the gig, what the rehearsal process was like, and then exactly how the show ran down on the day and some of the details that were involved with that. So that's enough talking for now. Thanks again for tuning in. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Brendan Tan. Before we jump into today's conversation, I want to offer you a free gift, and today that's my 7 ways to attract more work as a drummer PDF guide. If you feel like you're working on all the right stuff, you're seeing improvement in your playing, perhaps you're actually quite established in your local music scene, but still you're not working just as much as you would like to, then this guide is perfect for you. Here I offer you 7 ways to reapproach your development and your progression as a drummer and offer you a fresh perspective on some things you might be able to change in your development to hopefully bring in a little bit more work. The best thing about this guide is that only one of the tactics involves picking up a pair of drumsticks at all. So if you're feeling a little stuck, frustrated, and tired of not being able to be out there working and playing more, then please head to drummersperspective.com/7ways and grab that free downloadable PDF guide right now. Brendan Tan, thanks so much, man, for jumping on today to be part of the Drummer's Perspective podcast. I've been a huge fan of your playing for a long time, so yeah, man, I'm super happy and super thankful for you for doing this today.
Oh, good. Thanks for having us.
Of course, man, of course. You know, like I said, I've been a big fan of you, but for anyone who doesn't know you or you're playing, like I know you've played with a bunch of different artists already in your career, but maybe just give us a brief rundown of who you are and how you got started and who you're playing with like at the moment.
Yeah, so I started pretty young, probably like 5 or 6-ish when I started, and I started playing like through church.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up playing at church. I think that's how like I got good, is because I was just playing at youth group and on Sundays and whatnot. And then yeah, I guess did the church band thing for a while, toured with my church band for a while, probably up to like probably stopped touring with them like 3 or 4 years ago now. And so then after that, I guess right now what I've done for the last 2 years is mainly with Tones and I. So just touring with her, I guess when she has shows and when she's doing tours. Yeah, I don't know. Who else have I played with? I played with Sam Fisher recently, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pop trio from Sydney called Glades, who are doing some cool stuff. Trying to think of who else. Played with a girl called Evie Irie a few years back. She did the Amy Shark support, which was cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, kind of just play for whoever.
There's a lot there, yeah. So you're based in Sydney, right?
Yeah, based in Sydney.
Yep, cool. Yeah, man. I mean, there's a huge list already, and some incredible gigs, and yeah, I highly suggest anyone who doesn't know Brendan to go and check him out online, and some great footage there already. And yeah, but like what I would love to like chat to you about today is your recent gig on ABC New Year's Eve. Show, yeah, which was amazing. If you were one of the just under 1 million people that tuned in to watch that show, yeah, I mean, it was like if any drummer out there would have been like, I don't know, super impressed. I was super impressed with the way you played that gig. It absolutely killed it, and like, yeah, it demanded like so much versatility and like learning a huge amount of material and like all live to air, and yeah, it was really cool, man. So yeah, I was just really curious about that gig, and I think a lot of other drummers out there would be, you know, sitting at home watching that kind of thing, thinking like, you know, how did that happen for you? Like, how did that gig come about? And let's just maybe start there.
Yeah, so friends with a guy called Joel Farland, who you obviously know and has been on the podcast. Yeah. And he's like a music director, music coordinator based in Sydney. And so he actually hit me up to do that gig. So this is the second time I did it. The first time was last year. And it's like, it's a bit stressful, to be honest, because you're learning like 30 to 34 songs. And I think the only thing that made me less stressed this year was knowing that last year I got through it by the time I needed to play all the songs. But last year, the stress levels were very high because we have about, there's probably about 5 or 6 days of rehearsals altogether. And sometimes the lead up time, I feel like the songs isn't that long. This year was pretty good. I think they gave us like 4 weeks of like a rough set. But even then, like, a week out, some of the artists change, so there's always like new songs that are going to come in like last minute that you're just trying to get stuff of. But for the most part, this year I think I did pretty good. There's only, off the top of my head, I know there's 2 mistakes I made.
Oh man,
like, small mistakes, not like train wrecks, but in Harry Connick Jr. set, I made 2 mistakes, and it's kind of funny. One of them is like, we did Whisper Your Name, which I should know off the back. Like, I should just know. But in the rehearsal, I never made a mistake. And then on the day in the rehearsal, he's like, I did a cut, but he was like playing. He's like, oh, there's no cut there. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course, there's no cut there. And then on the night, the same thing happened. And I was like,
oh, man.
But apart
from tiny stuff. Yeah.
Apart from that, it's pretty smooth.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think we're all kind of guilty of that, like, over self-analysis, you know, post, but like taking into account everything that gig demanded, like that's, you know, that's pretty minor stuff. But yeah, I was curious, had you played with any of those artists before, or is it all first time?
Actually haven't. I played, I know Grant Perez, but I haven't played with him. I just know a lot of his crew. I've played with a lot of his band and his crew. And then, I mean, from last year, I played with Casey Donovan before. Same thing. Like, I know a lot of, like, I know Jess's band. I know a lot of the band, but I actually don't think I've sat with a lot of the artists that were on this year. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing in itself. Like jumping into a gig like that, without having played with, you know, the artist before. Like, it's one thing if you're getting up and doing a gig like that where, you know, you're in a band and you know the guys in it and you're comfortable with it, but like when it's just like back to back, like fresh people like that, brings a whole other level of, you know, of anxiety to it, I guess. But yeah, you mentioned before briefly about the timeline of it. I want to go into a bit more detail about that. So like, how long ago did you like get the music or the set list? Like, what was the first kind of interaction you had about, you know, what you might be playing?
Yeah, so I think probably, I'd say it's about 4 weeks before New Year's, we got like a spreadsheet that had all the artists and roughly what songs they were going to do. Obviously, there were some blanks with like TBCs as expected. But pretty much as soon as we got that, the first thing I do is I just make like a Spotify playlist with all the tracks, and then I just start listening to it, because it's like, just even if I'm not like mentally taking specific notes about like there's a cut here or like there's a half bar here, whatever, it's like I'm just getting to know the songs that I don't know. I mean, luckily enough, some of the songs are like Dance the Night Away, like the Barbie theme song. There's going to be songs like that where I'm sure everyone already knows. That helps, because it's like roughly you'd already know what the structure is. But that's, my first thing that I'll do is like make the playlist, and then like whenever I'm like driving or on transport or whatever, I just chuck my headphones in and just start listening.
Smashing it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, all that stuff, like it's just more beneficial later on when, you know, it's just a little bit more ingrained in the muscle memory, even if it's not like a conscious like learning it. Yeah, I know what you mean, just kind of letting it soak in.
Get it into the system somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. And so then, so you get the spreadsheet, and then like, did you get any kind of reference of like, you know, this is going to be like the recording, or did you get a heads up like we're going to be changing this arrangement, or like how did that kind of conversation work?
Yeah, obviously, because there's so many different artists, it's kind of 50-50. It's like some tracks are like, yeah, this is going to be exactly like the record. Other tracks are like, they're like specifically will say like, don't learn anything yet because it's going to change. So it's getting like, I guess if you get the playlist going, it's like you kind of get familiar with the melodies, even if the arrangement or the structure will change slightly. It's like you're roughly in the ballpark, which is good. Yeah, there's also a few weeks before rehearsals, they start sending charts as well. I can read because I'm not like, I wouldn't call myself a great reader.
Sure.
I feel like you'd be a good reader.
Well, I've done a bit, yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, this is good to know, man. Like for this kind of gig, it was something I was going to ask about, whether it was like all charted or whether a lot of it was on you.
So they have charts, but it's not like drum notated charts. It's more like a general, like just
a lead sheet thing.
Yeah, sheet chart, which is still very helpful, especially like when there's so many songs. Like, I think it's almost too hard because personally, I like from previous gigs, I'll just try to do everything by memory. But when it's such a short period and there's not enough rehearsals, I almost feel like you do need to rely on, if not the chart, some sort of note.
Sure.
Just odd things, because I think, like even with having the chart there, I still miss a couple of little things. So it's just like,
I mean, that's it. Like you're in the moment, and I'd imagine so much is kind of going on, like to distract you. But yeah. So okay, cool. So you start getting charts, and then like when did rehearsals start, and what was that like? What was the day rehearsal look like?
So this time we did it. The first rehearsal was on the 18th. So we did a day on the 18th and the 19th, and that was just the band. And obviously no singers, it's just us going through. Actually, a lot of it is programming, to be honest, like making sure everyone gets their sounds right. It's quite easier for me because obviously with the electronics, Joel will have samples ready, so he'll just airdrop me or give me a Dropbox link, and I'll just upload the samples to the SVD. So programming's not too hard on my side. I'm not actually like having to like create like a clap or whatever. And then so then it's slowly going through the songs with the band. So the structure is kind of like program for everyone for the song, get all the sounds set, and then it's like run the song a couple times. We did 2 days of that with just the band, and then I think after Boxing Day, like the 27th, we did one more day with just the band. Similar structure. It's like program, run each song a couple times, and then from the 28th to the 30th, 28th, 29th is 2 days of like the artist slowly coming in. And so it's like half the artists will come in on one day, the other half on the next day, and then the 30th is like the final full run down at the Opera House, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's interesting that like, I mean, it obviously makes sense that like so much time is dedicated to programming the sounds, because like, you know, obviously listening to the gig, like the sounds are, you know, legit. Like it's not like you're just trying to, like some kind of half-hearted attempt at getting something. Like they're either taken from, you know, like Joel would have, I'm sure, you know, sourced everything, and then like the keys players and guitar players, you know, would have, you know, spent that time in rehearsal dialing it in. But yeah, that's very cool. And so like when the singers started to come in, was it all? Did anything change, like arrangement wise? Like, was anything, were they like, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, like we're going to extend this, whatever?
Arrangement wise, it's pretty locked. The only thing where it changed was someone like someone that's hard to rehearse for, like Harry Connick Jr. because he doesn't use tracks. He's all live, and he he sent a chart like of the songs that he wanted to do, but like we didn't really run them because it's all live.
Yeah, sure.
That was a bit more, I would say, more high pressure because he came in and he's like, all right, let's just run this, and doesn't give any notes, and he just counts it in, and we're like, all right, well, like straight into it, like just gets into it once, and then after running it once, he'll stand up and start walking around the room and just go up to each person and be like he came up to me, he's like, how are you playing that shuffle? I played it on the right, and he's like, oh, I reckon we just like play on the hats, keep it like nice and tight. And he'll do that with everyone. He'll just walk around and be like, how are you guys playing these hits here? So that's kind of like something that's like, yeah, you don't really get to prepare for.
Yeah, man, sure. That's really interesting. Wow. I mean, like, what a contrast to some of the other like artists that you played with that night, where it was so like on the grid, locked, just like play the part down, and how cool. So yeah, I was going to ask that, like, was everything to click? But I guess not for that particular.
Most of the stuff was to click. His set was all live, and then Angie McMahon, who kind of has like that indie rock, I don't know, War on Drugs kind of band feely type. That was all live as well. So those two artists, it was more just like, let's get. Oh, and the Mark Seymour was also live.
Yeah, cool.
With the live artists, it's more like, let's just wait till they're in the room and then we can like get a feel, because it's kind of hard to scope it out with vocal when it's live, I think.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is very like super interesting stuff. But like when you did that big day of rehearsal, like on the 30th, I think you said, was that just pretty much doing the same thing as you did in the rehearsal studio, but like on stage, getting the levels right? Yeah,
pretty much. And they pretty much try to recreate how it's going to feel on the night, on New Year's. So like there's the production and the stage manager, and they're calling like the counting down in the comms, like every song has a countdown, and then Trish, who's on playback, is like timing the countdown to like, if he's counting down from like 10, and she'll fire the track when he gets to like, I don't know, 5 or 4. So it like, as soon as he hits like 0, it's like
great.
So that's kind of it's definitely good to do it, because like you don't realize how quickly it comes, because they try to block out the artist songs, everything's so tightly timed that they just like churn through it.
So that's it. So for anyone who hasn't done a gig like that before, just maybe explain like who you've got in your ears, like it for those kind of things. So you've got like the track and the click and a count in, I guess. And do you have like the countdowns, like stage management countdowns? Or?
Yeah. So track, click, and then obviously cues. But then at the same time, like Trish, who's on tracks, has a mic. Yeah, the stage managers in your ears. Obviously, you have John on in ears, on monitors, is like in everyone's ears. And then you've got Joel, who's the music director. He's got a mic and he's everyone's ears. So there's a lot of there's a lot of comms going on.
Wow. All right. So yeah, what kind of stuff would be being communicated from, like, say, Joel or Trish, like during the show? Anything, or is it more like in rehearsal process?
Definitely. Almost every song in rehearsal, Joel's going to be on the mic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, once we get going, it's like he's nowhere to be seen. Like he won't chime in, because it's like we kind of get to the point where it's like, it should all run smoothly.
Sure. Yeah. But he's like giving notes. Is that like that kind of thing? Yeah.
Pretty much until we go, he's always like giving notes to everyone on stage. Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool, man. Wow. Okay, so you do the full run on the 30th, and then like you get to the show day. Like what does that look like? Like what time are you coming in? Are you doing any rehearsal that day, or is it pretty much like you walk on and do the gig?
Yeah, show day we do another sound check. I think call time was like 2:30, 2:30. We do sound check again, just to obviously make sure all the lines are still good from the night before. And then I think we got a short period of time with each artist, but it wasn't like a proper run. By that day, it was kind of like, just make sure everyone's like gears work and gears set up.
Yeah. Cool. Wow. Okay. And then so like once the show goes, like it's going like I mean, did everything run smooth like from your point of view, like in terms of
Yeah.
like just the show itself?
Yeah, I think the show itself, yeah, it was good. There wasn't actually too many. I don't know if there were any hiccups. It was quite close to, obviously not perfect, but like everything pretty much went how it should have went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know even they had like the day after Joe was sending through, like from ABC, is quite good feedback. Like they had almost, I think they were like 200,000 viewers short of a record. I think they hit like 3.8 million views or
Wow.
streams. So it was like good statistics and all that kind of stuff, and everyone was really happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I think
Man,
it's yeah.
that's amazing. Cool. That's really like super interesting stuff. I know there's a lot of drummers out there to find that, you know, whole process, you know, myself included, like really fascinating. So it's cool to hear from your point of view, like someone who's actually done it and done it so recently as well. Like yeah, very cool, man. So you know, with a scale of a gig like that, and you've done other gigs that, you know, super high pressure stuff, do you still find time to enjoy it? Like, I mean, from last year, it sounds like it's a bit more of an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
You know, having that that reliability of having done it before. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, did you have fun on the gig, or did you have time to like take it all in
Yeah,
at some point? Yeah.
yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like obviously the more comfortable you are with the set, the more you can like try and enjoy it.
Mm,
I think I knew from where I was at. I think roughly about halfway through the set, I'll start enjoying it because
yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Sure.
it's like as soon as you play a song, it's like you're good. You don't have to like
Yeah. Worry about it more. Yeah.
memory bank. So I knew for
Yeah.
me it was like halfway through the set, I knew I'd like start to like enjoy it more than just being like need to make sure I'm doing my job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Cool, man. So, I guess like now, you've done so. Just going back a little bit, like when you do this kind of show or any show with any artist really, and you're learning the material, you
Yeah.
make the playlist, and then what's your like personal preparation look like on a playing level? Like, are you dedicating like a certain amount of hours a day to like, you know, listen and then play, and then kind of do you do any like, I don't know, emulation of like what the gig might be like in terms of like running them in order or anything like that?
Yeah,
Or is it
yeah.
just
Yeah, obviously, yeah, listening's such a big one. Also, because I think like on a lot of gigs, some reason like sometimes you only get to listen to it. You might not actually get to sit down and have a hit before you get there.
Yeah.
This one, like, it's actually funny because like the 4 week lead up time was huge, and I was like, oh, so much time. But for some reason, like you don't start when as early as you can. It's like
Yeah, right.
somehow, for some reason, it just gets left till like I don't know. There's 2 weeks out, and you're like, all right, we're gonna start crunching down.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, I guess I'm lucky enough to have this like studio space. So like I'd come in here, and yeah, I'll just sit with the playlist. I literally just go from the top and just run the whole thing. Just like even if I'm not playing the whole time, I'm just like grooving along and just roughly getting like the map out of each song and structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually what I do is like if there's something weird, for example, like in some of the Angie McMahon songs, there's like tempo changes in the same song, and there's like half bars and all that kind of stuff. Those are the songs where I'm like, okay, I probably need to spend a bit more time either taking notes or running the song 2 or 3 more times than the others, just to like kind of get that structure in my head.
Sure. Yeah, man. Okay, that's interesting. And did anything surprise you, like on a playing level? Like you were working on stuff at home, and then once you got into like the rehearsal period with the band or with Joel or the artist, did you get notes that were like, oh, okay, that's not how I was working on it, or was it pretty much as you were practicing?
Parts wise is quite close, quite similar. The biggest thing for me, I don't know if this will be funny or not, but I usually am a big fan of hitting rim shots and having consistent rim shots. But a big thing was Joel being like, oh, let's not rim shot unless we have to.
Okay.
I think tonally, it's probably just more consistent. The sound guys with the light, that stuff. So there's only a few songs on the night I actually hit rim shots. Where usually in my playing, like if no one's saying anything, I'm just gonna hit a rim shot
by default. Yeah, yeah. That's super interesting because I think that's the kind of thing that that some drummers wouldn't really like consider. You know, like it's more that kind of stuff is sometimes like just muscle memory for players. Oh,
yeah,
like, yeah, as it is. Like it's a default. I always play a rim shot. I always play the right this way. You know,
yeah.
but taking a step back from like producer kind of mixing engineer point of view. It's like actually, it's not like the best. That's not going to get the best result. Not going to get best sound. You know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. It's something that's not kind of taught as much. But so say like someone was watching you do that gig and is playing in high school or uni or whatever, and it's like I want to do that. I want to do stuff like on that scale, like those big TV gigs or even your touring stuff. Like, what would you say is some good advice to drummers who are already playing but want to kind of get to that kind of next level of
I think a really big thing is listening to music. It sounds funny, but just making sure like you're listening and I like to try listen to everything. Obviously there's genres that like I naturally would gravitate towards that I would personally like. But if you can kind of keep an open mind, you listen to everything, then it'll help a lot because like, especially with like even the New Year's gig, it's like there's so many different artists, like jazz guy, you have the pop guy, you have the rock. Yeah. So it's like, if you haven't like opened your mind to like listening to a few things, it's like, you're kind of going to be out of your pocket. For me, like I did, like growing up, obviously went through all like the jazz drum books, but I wouldn't see myself as a jazz drum player. But like obviously like have done enough work, I guess, to be able to with those songs. So it's like, that's definitely a big thing, just to make sure you're like, I guess, versatile, or as versatile as you can be. It definitely helps. Yeah, and then you're listening, and then making sure you're playing along with a little bit of each genre, I guess. Helps.
Okay, cool. And then like in terms of putting yourself out there to meet new people or get connected with people that might be in that scene or that world, did you do anything in your career development to like meet certain people to get to that next level?
I think for me, I mean, I guess from what I've learned, it's kind of like a combination of things. It's like you have to be able to play, but then like the whole other aspect is like you need to, I guess, be a good friend and a good person. Because when you think about like with tour, like it sounds funny, but with touring, it's like you only spend an hour and a half max on stage a night, or every 2 or 3 nights. So it's like you've got another 2 or 3 days where you're like hanging out with people. So it's like, to be honest, like in that setting, like people just want to be around people that they want to hang out with.
Definitely, be cool, a good hang. Such a big thing.
Something that I don't know if it gets overlooked a lot, but for me, like with people I've worked with and I've played for, first and foremost, it's like you're getting along with the camp or the people in that group is a massive thing, because it's like. You might be the best player, but if you like people don't want to hang out with you, it's like they're not going to want to deal with you or band with you. So, I think that 2 things go hand in hand. It's like making sure your ability is good and you've practiced and you can play it, but then at the same time, it's like making sure you can get along with people and you're a nice guy and all that kind of stuff.
Oh gosh, that's huge. That is just huge because I mean, it's I'm sure, you've been in situations before where, that someone can play, but they're not such a great hang, or they're annoying or whatever, and it's like I'd kind of rather like play with someone who's maybe not as technically good, but like it's still a great person if you're going to be spending hours with them. It's so true. So that kind of ties on from the last question, but like, what do you think? Doing the kind of work you're doing now, like what do you think like some really important skills are for drummers, like aside from playing, to do the kind of work you're doing now? Like, I mean, in terms of like programming sounds and reading charts and playing with tracks and that kind of thing. Like, is there anything in particular that you think maybe younger drummers should be conscious of when they're coming up if they want to get into this kind of world?
I think drumming's changed a lot in the last like 10, 15 years. I think you'd probably say the same. Just because of like this, the landscape of music changing constantly. I think now it's like, I feel like back, I don't know, this could be wrong, but I feel like back in the day, it may have been easier to purely just be a drummer. I think because the landscape has changed so much now, it's like you kind of need to be doing a bit more than just drums. And I find it very hard to, if I was to just play drums, I feel like it'd be quite hard to make a living out of music.
Yeah.
So I think getting into like, learning how to like program or even like producing. So like being able to engineer like Pro Tools, Ableton, Logic, all that kind of stuff. Learning how to run tracks is another big thing. It's like if you can run tracks, like, because so many artists now, I feel like more artists now will use tracks than not. But all that stuff, I think, just adds to like what you can do.
Yeah, sure. And how much of your, would you say like, all of your work is involving something like that now, whether it's like programming or running tracks or using triggers and things like that? Is everything like that? Like, are you ever just playing a gig just on drums, or is it always extra kind of stuff?
Most of the gigs is always going to be some sort of extra. In terms of drumming, it'd be like, just being like programming, making sure you know how to like chop samples up and like all that kind of stuff's pretty important now, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you do that? Are you using Ableton mostly, or?
I'm mostly in Pro Tools just because that's like what I'm kind of comfortable with. I have Ableton, like, want to get better. That's definitely on the list.
Sure.
But mainly I'm in Pro Tools,
Yeah, wow. Cool, man. Okay, so for, I guess, like, again, like as a whole, for both the New Year's gig and the other gigs you do, like, do you have any pre-show routines for like staying relaxed and focused and kind of like not stressed, or as little stress as possible in those kind of environments?
I definitely try to warm up. I think it's like, especially, I think it's pretty important, especially if you're going to be either playing for a long time or hitting quite hard. I think it is important to warm up. I think if you're hitting hard or you're playing for a long period of time and you don't warm up, you'd be fine for like a week or two, but over like a long tour, I reckon you'd start to feel it.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of just do like the practice pad thing, and I'll just do like go through singles, doubles, paradiddles, and then just a couple like, I don't know, random exercises that you would do. So I try to do that, and then I try to do a bit of stretching before. Obviously, I don't do it every time, but like if I'm disciplined, I'll try to do that.
Yeah. Cool, man. That's very interesting stuff. And like, I agree, super important to to warm up, like physically and mentally as well. I think just like, getting yourself in the zone, I would imagine, is like a really important thing for that kind of thing. Yeah, man. So awesome. This has been really, really interesting. Like, so what have you got coming up? Anything cool or you looking forward to in particular?
The next tour we're doing is in Australia with Tones and I, and she's supporting Pink in February and March. So
amazing.
Should be a good one. I don't think I've ever done like a stadium tour ever, so pretty excited.
That'd be awesome.
It'll be big venue. So be exciting. I'll definitely warm up for those.
Yes, I'm sure. That's great. And is that going to be a set that you already know, or are you going to be going to rehearsals for that soon?
I think we've got 4 days or 5 days of rehearsals blocked out. So I assume it will. I mean, obviously it will be something that we've done before, but in terms of the set, I imagine they'd switch it up with like transitions and how they want to run it.
Cool. Yeah, great, man. That's great. Cool. This is, like I said, it's been super interesting and fascinating. I know a lot of guys and girls out there are going to find this, really like insightful to hear from you. And like I said, just absolutely smash that gig. And I was really happy that you could take the time to talk about it with me and kind of share your experience with it. Because, it's really valuable and useful information for a lot of people out there, and like super inspiring to hear it, straight from you. So thank you again, man. Quickly before we wrap it up, where can people find you and follow what you're up to?
I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is Rendon Bay which is, I think it's like my name in Pig Latin, but I think I did it wrong, and I did it so long in high school, and I've just left it. So that's what it is.
That's amazing. Cool.
Then, I've got a YouTube that's very unactive, and Facebook that is also mildly unactive. So
sure.
Mainly Instagram, but yeah, try to do more, I guess.
Instagram. Cool. All right. Well, link people to that for sure. Cool, man. Well, thank you again, Brendan. This has been great. And I hope we can catch up in person again. Catch up in person sometime soon. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thanks, mate.
Awesome.